You are one of the many teams in this division that has a lot of returning starters, and really like a lot of teams around college football. I'm curious from the macro, if you think that the fact that there are so many teams and so many starters returning, how do you think that will affect competitive balance? And I think the sport is sort of waiting for people to crack the Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State stranglehold. Do you think the preponderance of returning starters could perhaps do that, Manny?
Yeah, Pete, that's a really good question that I think will be one of the storylines of the 2021 season. And because so many people return so much experience, at the end of the day, does it really cancel out? What's been great for Miami's standpoint is having such an experienced team. Some of the guys we brought with us here today for Media Day is the off season. You know, how do we go through spring practice? How do we go through the workouts? And guys that are experienced, but they came back for the right reasons. They want to see Miami win, and they want to set an example for the younger guys coming into our program, which to me at Miami we've not always had. We've not always had really strong veteran leadership that's been around long enough to really influence our recruiting classes. And I think with the senior class, the super senior class that we have, I think that's how they can just not help transform Miami in wins and losses this year, but actually going forward.
Coach, we'll go to your left in the third row.
Bob Holliday, WRL.com. Manny, you have an All-American punter returning in Lou Hedley, but maybe Lou punted a little too often last year. What do Eric and Mike and the offense have to do to maybe keep Lou on the sideline a little more? And then secondly, you don't have Jose to finish drives last year. He was the best kicker in the league. What does the place kicking race look like? Yeah,
we love Lou Hedley. I do think it's times we want to see him on the sideline. Lou wants to get out there and punt, but he's also for the team. But we set the NCAA record for net punt a year ago, which is phenomenal. Field position, being able to change the field. And we know we've got a great weapon in Lou. Obviously, offensively, the big things we want to look at this year is we have to give up less negative plays in the run game. And that's been a big point of emphasis in our offseason study, spring practice, and going into training camp. And then be more explosive down the field. So, you know, being more efficient in our run game and more explosive in our pass game will help us punt less. Now, in terms of place kicking, you know, again, you're losing the Groza winner a year ago in Borregales, and you're replacing him with Borregales. And having Andres come in, really, you know, it's about taking on your older brother's jersey number. Same name, guy just won the Groza, walks out of the program, and you take his place. But the guy came in spring practice as a mid-year, and I think instantly earned the respect of everybody in the locker room. Had kind of a bad day right before our first scrimmage at Hard Rock Stadium. Went into Hard Rock Stadium, and I'm talking about knocked it right down the clown's mouth every time we had him out there, including a 53-yarder in a 1-minute drill situation. So I think that gave the team a lot of confidence. In our kicking game, Jonathan Packey does a phenomenal job with all of our special teams, and we take a lot of pride in our specialists. Clay James, our long snapper, we feel like we've got the best group of specialists in America.
Coach, your next two questions are going to come from the right side of the room. We're going to go 6th row back, sir, if you don't mind standing up and identifying yourself, please.
Cortland Griffin with three-point conversion. Coach, you had a lot of players come out of this program with professional pedigree, two of them being here today with Bubba and De'Eric. Can you speak about the leadership role that you expect them to take on this season?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit what I mentioned before is, number one, they've been phenomenal leaders their entire time here at Miami. But they're back here for Miami to win. And I think what we've recognized as a team is that when the team does well, all the individuals do well. And that my individual goals can be met by the team meeting its goals. So the way that they can set an example for the way these guys work, you know, I mean, and you think about the stories of Bubba and Mike and De'Eric just in the off-season workouts. And these guys they're not just going through the workouts, hey, this is my last year, I'm going to just do whatever. They're smashing the run. So if we're running 110s, they're not just making the times, they're racing the 110s. And so I'm a freshman watching that. You know, people can say whatever they want to say, but ultimately we're going to observe, and I'm going to see what you're doing. And the way that they've worked from all of, you know, Dave Feely's reports this summer, that's the leadership. That's real leadership, more so than maybe the Hollywood speech of rah, rah, let's go. Players will follow those who set the example, and there's three guys over there that have done a phenomenal job in the offseason of doing that.
Coach, just about the exact same position.
Ewan McCreath, Herb FM Sports Radio. Coach, with the defensive new hires as well as the analyst and you resuming the play calling duties on the defensive side of the ball, what does that mean differently for the Canes defense this year?
Well, we're going to be improved on defense this year, and that is all going to be about the players. It's fun to talk about the coaches and the play calling and this, that, and the other, but great defense is ultimately about the connection between the players on the field, the trust and the accountability. And that's where I felt like a year ago we just didn't quite have that to the extent we take a lot of pride in how we play defense at Miami. I just felt like that we took a step back in that regard, not to our standard. I think our guys have a chip on their shoulder. Now we do have, new coaches, as you mentioned. What that does, what I like, is it took all of our players and took every one of those guys out of their comfort zone. Because now maybe your coach that recruited you or the coach you've been around, here comes a new set of eyes. Guy looks at you a different way. He's going to challenge you in a different way. And that's ultimately what we needed. We needed to be out of our comfort zone defensively at Miami because we weren't proud of how we finished last year. So, again, it's easy to talk about calling the defenses. It doesn't matter what defense you call if the players don't have that bond and trust. That's what makes all great defenses. And I think the new staff, some of the great coaches that we've been able to add that I'm honored to work with, but ultimately it comes down to those guys in that defensive team meeting room taking the ownership of it and playing with that Miami chip on their shoulder.
Coach, from the podium, in the first 9 games of 2020, Miami goes 8-1, then drops the last 2. Does this influence the offseason compared to winning out at the end of the year?
That's hard to say. I don't know, again, losing our last 2 games, it's not 1st and 12 in our opening game this year. I think what set the tone of our offseason is when Derek King and Mike Harley and Bubba Bolden and Amari Carter, and I could name so many more, decided to come back. And I think that's the thing that had not been happening at Miami. And it became the thing to do and for the right reasons. And I think those guys have affected our offseason program regardless. There had to be something in that locker room a year ago that guys wanted to be a part of, and I think that's part of the reason, and they can maybe address it better than I, of why a lot of the players ultimately made the decision to come back to Miami, to run it back. I think we felt like we had a pretty good team a year ago. And we went through some COVID things at the end of the year that had whatever effect it had. And let's have a proper year, go through, and let's see how good we can actually be.
Coach, your last question coming from the podium again. One report has the Hurricanes as having the most experienced offensive line in FBS. How much of a lift does this give you that a traditionally overshadowed group nationally is getting some really good attention in Miami?
Well, we had to take some lumps a couple years ago. We started 2 true freshmen on the offensive line, and that's tough. But the great thing is, freshmen become sophomores, they become juniors, and what it changed for us that I had not seen at my time at Miami was the competition in our spring practice. We had guys, Garen Justice did a great job of mixing and matching. We didn't want anyone to feel like they had a starting role locked up, could move different guys around, and guys had to come to practice every day, and they really had to bring it because there was no telling, and there's still no telling really who the first 5 are going to be. And having, all coaches can say that, but really having a guy that can take your job is going to bring out the best in you. And I think this is the first time that we've had a 2 deep on the offensive line of somebody that when I walk out to practice every day, if I am not at my best, I'm going to end up on second team by the end of the day. And I think that's making us, and the players told me, Coach, it's amazing how much better everybody got because we had to compete every day in practice.
Coach, thank you very much. We will start with our rotation of student athletes now to the podium. Coach, you can grab a seat. Bubba Bolden. Bubba, you are first up under the bright lights. Same routine. We will get a couple of questions rolling. And Bubba, as you come up to the podium, it looks like our first 3 questions will come from the right side of the room. So we'll come back to Ewan. Ewan, introduce yourself for the first time and stand back up. Again, Bubba to the right.
Ewan McCreath, Herb FM Sports Radio. Bubba, you finished last year with a team-high 74 tackles. What is it about your game that enables you to get to the line of scrimmage or just beyond it and making your tackles so efficient?
I think the biggest thing is, just being instinctive, trusting my teammates, trusting the players around me, just to allow me to play fast. And, I take pride in making tackles. I take pride in getting to the ball first. So I think that's the biggest thing.
Bubba, as we get your second question, if you don't mind getting a little bit closer to the microphone, that'd be awesome. Next question also to your right.
Tom in the Tune, Caroline Gridiron. As the leader of this defense, with the emergence of incoming freshman James Williams, how do you get him acclimated into this promising secondary?
I think the biggest thing with James, his size, his ability to move, I think that's the biggest thing with him, and just now him being there on campus, getting him adjusted to the workouts, getting him adjusted to just time management. You know, that's the biggest thing. So, you know, we start fall camp coming up in a couple weeks, and, you know, getting him adjusted to the plays will probably be the biggest thing. But, you know, as a freshman, you got to work your way in, and that's what I'm trying to do as an older guy, just get him on pace as fast as possible, you know.
Your next question to the right also.
Cortland Griffin with three-point conversion. Bubba, so you are in early consideration to be one of the defensive player of the years, or the defensive player of the year. How does that feel? Like, does that put more pressure on you, or are you looking forward to being notarized as that?
You know, I don't really look into all of that, you know. I just keep the main thing, and that's coming out every day, that's working hard, you know, doing whatever I need to do for my team. So, you know, all those accolades, all those awards, you know, they come with, you know, hard work and, you know, dedication. So that's my main thing right now. I'm focused on the team. I'm focused on these workouts. I'm focused on fall camp. And then, you know, when that time comes, it'll come, you know.
So, Bubba, take your eye right up the aisle to the right, gentleman with the bow tie. Right on the edge here.
Matt Marshall with the Orlando Sentinel. Bubba, you know, Manny talked a little bit about the defense having kind of a chip on its shoulder because of how they played last season. Do you guys feel that way, and do you feel like you can be a much better unit going into this upcoming season?
Yeah, 1,000%. I mean, we felt that way last year, but this year, you know, it's a big thing. You know, we all came back for a reason. You know, we want to win. You know, Coach Diaz being the defensive coordinator now, it gives us a lot of confidence in our defense, especially, you know, with me just personally. But the chip is on the shoulder. The chip will always be on the shoulder no matter what. And I feel like that's just a Miami thing.
Bubba to your left, third row.
Bubba Holiday, WRL.com. Bubba, Miami ranked just 10th last year in quarterback sacks, and the only two players you lose from defense for your rush ends, Jalen and Quincy.
Yeah.
How does Miami get to the quarterback this year?
The same way, our defensive ends, you know. That's one thing that we produce here at the University of Miami, our defensive ends. So, you know, we lose two guys, but two guys are going to step up. You know, we got Jafari Harvey, we got Zach McLeod, we got DeAndre. So new guys will step up to the plate, and then you also got linebackers. You know, everyone on the team can get to the quarterback at somehow, some way, and that's just with the way we play our defense and the play calls that Coach Diaz calls. So somewhere, you know, some way, somehow we'll get to the quarterback.
Bubba, we're going to go front row to your left. This will be your last question.
Tyler Everett, Sports Business Journal. Just want to talk about your approach to the NIL deal you signed and the things your school has going on with NIL, why you're excited about it and the advantages you'll get from some of these opportunities.
The biggest thing with the NIL, I mean, it's a great opportunity for every college athlete around the country. One thing with us, we've been talking about the NIL since the beginning of the spring. You know, Coach Diaz did a good job bringing in people just to inform us on how to do it, how to go about it. So, you know, the same thing like I said before, you know, we keep the main thing, and that's football. And, you know, the deals come, you do it when you can do it, but my main focus personally is football. So, you know, I'm excited for all the deals and for everyone to get money, but personally, you know, I keep the main thing.
Bubba, thank you very much. Why don't you trade places now with Mike Harley? We'll have Mike come up, spend about 5, 6, 7 minutes with us. Folks in the room, as you raise your hand for the microphone, if you would keep them raised, even if you are second and third in order, just so we can make sure our flag bearers actually can find you. So questions for Michael Harley, wide receiver for Miami. Michael will go right side, about fifth row.
Ewan McCreath, Herb FM Sports Radio. Mike, last year you were tied on the team with touchdown receptions, and you also led the team in yards and receptions. Talk about the chemistry that continues to build with your quarterback, D'Eriq King.
Yeah, the chemistry, it never stopped. You know, even though he got injured, he's been rehabbing. I've been with him. You know, he'll be sitting down on the bench. He'll throw a tennis ball at me, throw a football at me, and just get the younger guys, you know, going every day. And, you know, he's back on his feet now, running, dropping, doing steps and everything. So we just been consistent, you know, just ever since day one.
Michael, from the podium, 3 winning seasons in the last 4 years. What does this say about Miami football since your arrival in 2017?
We just on a rise, you know, just steps. It's just a process that we got to take, you know, a process that we got to love and just gain from, every win and learn from every loss, and just keep going.
We're going to swing the microphone all the way to the front row to your left, right here on the end, Molly.
Michael, Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. Just what you can say about looking at the fact that this season you're looking to set some records here at Miami, and just, personally what that means to you to be a part of history and the receivers that came before you, and overall kind of just looking at the team this year.
Just first of all, God does everything for a reason, and I was questioning myself even coming back, and then my coaches told me I'm a few catches away, a couple yards away for breaking records, being legendary. But I take that in, but I just come to keep the main thing, come to workouts, do everything right, do the little things right, keep my locker room clean, show up on time to meetings and practice, because it all is going to translate to the field. And just this team in general, like as Coach Diaz said, we just don't do it, we love it. I'm saying when it comes to a sprint, being the first, showing the young guys the way. Just with me, I just want to be like that leader that the young guys never had, a big brother the young guys never had to the receiver room and to this team.
Mike, your next two questions, right down the aisle to the right. Gentleman standing right here is our first one.
Hey, Michael, Raphael Haynes with the three-point conversion. It's a simple one. This year pretty sure you'll have the fans back. How excited are you to have fans at full capacity?
Oh, it's very exciting, man. I played my freshman, sophomore year, junior year with, fans, and we feed off that. This past year we didn't have no fans, but I'm used to it. It's like rec ball, little league ball, all you got is your parents, or, all you got is your coaches on the field. So, it's a blessing to even have fans come back to the stadium.
Next question, right in front of him.
Matt Marshall from the Orlando Sentinel. Michael, you start off with a big challenge against Alabama. What does that mean for you guys, and what kind of statement can you make with a win possibly over the Crimson Tide?
The focus is now, but when that time comes, it's going to come. So we can't run away from it, can't hide from it. We're just stacking days, every day we work, off day. We're just, stacking days, doing the little things right. And when it come game time. So we just got to, trust everything coaches call, do what we do, compete at the highest level, and just win.
Michael, your last question will come from here at the podium as a fifth-year player playing in the league. Does your age, does your experience, does your familiarity with the league give you an edge over other defenses and younger players?
Yes, most definitely, as it should. Coming in as a freshman, you're just happy to be there, and as you get older, you learn a lot of things. And for this game that I play, football, it's all mental. So as I'm getting older, my mental is getting stronger and better. So that's it.
You came in happy as a freshman, but you're still happy as a senior, yeah?
Oh yeah, I love it. I'm more happy. Yes,
Just
sir.
checking. Michael, thank you very much. Why don't you trade places with De'Eric? And De'Eric will finish this out here for Miami's portion of the program this morning. So De'Eric will get the room set for you. Who would like the first question for our quarterback today? We're going to go right side. We'll do the same thing. De'Eric, the first two questions will come from the fifth and the sixth row. So.
Ewan McCreath, Herb FM Sports Radio. De'Eric, what does it mean for you to be named co-captain, and what does that title mean to you and the responsibilities that come with it?
Yeah, I think it means a lot. Just being named captain of this football team, that shows you respect, that your teammates have for you, right? So I think that's the most important thing, what the people think inside the locker room. It's not what everybody else thinks, but whatever they think inside the locker room. I think that's the most important thing. So that's a huge honor. I think it's one of my favorite honors. Every time I'm playing college football, to be named captain at Houston here, it's one of the biggest honors you can earn as a player.
Just about the same spot there, De'Eric.
Okay. Cortland Griffin with three-point conversion. De'Eric, you've been a part of the resurgence of Miami football. You guys are kind of built like the old school teams. You guys have a lot of hype built around you. What does that mean for you coming into this season, being the signal caller for this team?
Yeah, it means a lot. It's a big responsibility being a starting quarterback at University of Miami, right? So just me trying to do everything right, trying to be the guy that my teammates can lean on, trying to be that leader. It's a huge responsibility, but I'm excited for it. I have a lot of good guys on my team I'm able to play with. So that's the main goal, to win as many games as possible here.
Right in the front row there, De'Eric, with the camera.
Eric, Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. Just what you can say about, everything that you've done in your career, coming from Houston, making the decision to come to Miami, and then making the decision to come back this year.
Yep.
Just the road that you've taken. Why was Miami the right choice in hindsight, and why did you come back this year?
Man, it's a long journey. Going from my days at Houston, I love the University of Houston. I'm an alumni there. I got my degree from there. And decided to come to Miami. Like when I entered the portal, I probably had a week to decide where I wanted to go. Obviously, the University of Miami sells itself. It's one of the, the best universities in the country, one of the most, high-profile teams in the country you could play for. And then just, Coach Diaz, talking to Coach Diaz for a while, and then at the end of the day, Coach Lashley was the offense coordinator here. He just got the job, and I thought I was the right fit for his offense. And, me deciding to come back, it was an easy decision. Being a starting quarterback at University of Miami is pretty big, right? And, I love the city of Miami. I love my teammates. And last year, I felt like we had a decent year, had a good year, but it wasn't our standard, right? So this year we all wanted to come back. A lot of us decided to come back and try to reach our standard and try to do everything the right way. Not having an off season last year, going through the whole COVID season, I want to give my all to the university. I want to see the university win, so that's why I decided to come back.
Derek, straight up the aisle to your right.
Yep.
Matt Marshall, the Orlando Sentinel. Derek, what's been the message from the older guys on this team to the younger players about what you want to see happen this year based on what happened last year, and how important is that leadership when you guys move forward?
Yeah, I think it's very important, and I think last year was a good step. I think we took the right steps as a program to, ultimately get back to where we wanted to go. And this year we wanted to come back and, focus on all the little things. A lot of people, they see games and, whatever, but they don't understand everything that goes into it. They don't understand what goes into a Tuesday team run, and we have little hiccups right here and, how we handle it. So that was the main thing for us, all the leaders on the team. We wanted to focus on the little things, don't let anything slide this year, and come back with a goal in mind to win as many games as we can this year.
Derek, back to your left, the third row gentleman with the glasses.
Derek, Bubba Holiday, WRL.com. Coach talked about the need to have fewer negative plays in the running game.
Yep.
There were games last year where you were the leading rusher, which is really not the design. Yep. Tell us about your backfield this year and who you expect to step up and take away those negative plays.
Yeah, I think that was one of the main focus for this whole offseason was to limit our negative plays. I think we were decent in every other aspect besides negative plays. So we have 3, 4, 5 really good backs, honestly. All the backs came back. Cam Harris, Don Chaney, Jalen Knighton. All three of those guys came back. And, the second year in the system, it's always better. So last year we learned a whole new offense, not really a real off season. And the guys up front had a really good spring. All 5 of those guys were back. I think we were really deep at O-line this year. It might be one of the deepest positions on our team. The addition, the O-line and all 3 running backs coming back, myself including the running game, I think we'll limit the negative plays.
Back up the center aisle to your right.
Raphael Haynes, also with the three-point conversion. Is there anything particularly that you're looking to work on as far as from the quarterback position?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm working on everything, but the things I want to see my game improve and the offense improve as a whole, making more plays downfield. That's big for us. And, you can make, 1, 2, 3 plays downfield can change the whole game. So that's been a big focus, making plays downfield, getting a better connection, with the receivers. Mike coming back, adding a guy like Charleston Rambo, Will Mallory. We have a lot of weapons, and this is my job to get those guys the ball. So just making plays downfield and, staying out of negative plays.
Derek, front row, hard left. Front row, there you go.
Tyler Everett, Sports Business Journal, another NIL question. You were praised and identified as one of the leaders with some of those first deals you signed when the legislation first passed that night at midnight. Are you embracing that? Is that something you're going to talk to your teammates and guys from other teams about, your experience being one of the first, most high-profile guys to get multiple deals signed there?
Yeah, I think the whole NIL thing, I think it's really good for college football. My thing was work with good companies. You don't got to work with every company. You want to work with companies that, align with your core values. So you don't want to go out there and just work with this company, that company, that company. You want to work with the right ones. And that's my whole thing. My main goal is to help as many teammates as I can to earn whatever they can earn. So it's not not all about me. I want to be about my teammates and for those guys to make as much as possible. And also, football's still the main thing. A lot of people, worried about how NIL can affect your play. But for us, I know University of Miami, all my teammates, football is the main goal. We're not even worried about the whole NIL thing. We just want to play football. And whenever we have time for that kind of stuff, we'll deal with that stuff.
De'Aaron, question from the podium. You completed 64% of your passes last year, and I know this is going to seem like a silly question, but why was that number so high?
Yeah, I think my goal is to be over 65%. So 64% it wasn't my standard, but I play with really good players. Guys like Mike, Brevin Jordan last year, Will Mather, they make me look good. I have a lot to do. I had a lot to improve on to get that number around 67%, 68%, just to make the right decisions. I think Coach Lashley put me in a lot of good positions to get the ball completed and get a lot of first downs. So that was probably the reason there.
Derek, we're going to go to the right side, almost to the back, the gentleman standing up.
Hey, Derek, Aslan Hajavandi with warchant.com. I know you sort of collaborated with Mackenzie Milton on some of this NIL stuff. Did you guys talk at all about maybe some of the resistance you would get from your fan bases being rivals and teaming up, or is it business is business?
Yeah, I think business is business. And I've been knowing Mackenzie for 6-7 years now, back when he was in high school and at UCF and I was at Houston. So we've been in the same conference, had a relationship. Obviously, Florida State's our rivals, but like you said, business is business. And we both thought it was a good idea to, partner up with Dreamfield and, co-found the company. And it's really to help as many guys as we can. And the whole platform is for everybody else to, make a lot of money, so.
Derek, your last question. Back to Dan in the front row with the camera.
Derek, just what you can say about Manny Diaz, the relationship in the transfer portal and trying to figure out where to go. Why was Manny the right fit, and why is he still the right fit for Miami, in your opinion?
Yeah, Coach Diaz is a great coach, and before he's a great coach, he's a great person, right? So I think for me, having so many different coaches every single year, I wanted to find, obviously a great coach, but obviously a great person as well. That was like the most important thing to me. And he's a player's coach. He wants to do whatever's best for the players, and that's what I love about him. If he can, make anything better for us, he'll do it, and I respect that 100%. And he's just a great man all around.
Derek, thank you. Miami, good luck this year. Folks, Virginia Tech is due up next here in the room at 11:30.